Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's lesson. Today, we're going to learn about equivalent fractions. And we are going to continue to use number lines to help us visualize and understand what equivalent fractions are. So today's learning target is I can find equivalent fractions using number lines. All right. And like Friday's lesson and Thursday's lesson, today's lesson will also double as a model or an example of the work you're going to do on your practice assignment. So when you're done with your independent practice, it should look just like the work I do in this lesson. Okay? So we're going to learn about equivalent fractions, and we're going to learn how to complete our work, all in this one lesson. So let's get started. We're actually going to jump here to number 2, okay? And number 2, the questions are all identical today. They're all worded identically. Number 2 says, using the number lines shown, what's the equivalent fraction to 4/8? So before we begin, we actually have to understand what we're looking at, okay? So first, it's good to know that we're looking at two number lines, right? We got this number line and this number line. But what's also important to notice is that these number lines are identical in many ways. They start at 0, and that 0 is lined up in the same location. They both end at 1, and that 1 is lined up in the same location. So these number lines are meant to represent the same whole amount. Okay? The only difference between them is the number of pieces they are divided into. As you can see, this top number line is divided into many more pieces than this bottom number line. All right, so what's step 1? Well, if we want to use number lines to find equivalent fractions, the first step is to label both number lines. Now, labeling these number lines is something that didn't happen for a lot of folks on Friday, even though I asked for it. So I am asking again today, and I want to expect that your number lines will be labeled just like I'm about to do here with these number lines, okay? So let's start at the top. In this first number line here, we're going to do just as we learned on Friday. We're going to count the number of parts this number line is broken into, and we're going to start at 0. So let's do that together. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're talking about 8s, and that makes sense because we're being asked about 8s, aren't we? So it's very important now to go ahead and label this number line, all 8 parts, okay? So we have 0/8, we have 1/8, we have 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and 1 is equal to 8/8. Okay, very good. So now we know where 4/8 is, don't we? It's right here. Yeah. All right, very good. So let's switch over now and let's label the second number line. The first thing we have to do, of course, is count the number of pieces. So we'll start at 0 again, and let's count. 1, 2. All right, so, excuse me, we are looking at halves here. So that's quick and simple. Let's do that. So we have 0 halves. Ooh. We have 0 halves. We have 1 half. We have 2 halves, which equals a whole. All right, step 1 is done. Both number lines are labeled. Now, how do we use these number lines to find equivalent fractions? Well, because of what we recognized at the beginning, these number lines are identical. They start at 0, they end at 1, and they're both the same length, right? So they represent the same amount. Because we understand that now, we can actually just visually look to see which fractions line up with 4/8. And the fraction lines up with 4/8 is, oh, that's not a very good one here. Let me back up a little bit. Here we go. Is here. 4/8 lines up with 1 half. Look at that. They're in the same spot on the number line. And so that's our answer. 4/8 is equivalent to 1 half because they take the same location on the number line. Okay, so let's move over to the answer line, number 2. We're going to write the equivalent fraction to 4/8. On that second number line, it was 1 half. All right, let's try another one. Let's go down here to number 3. Number 3 says, using the number lines shown, what is the equivalent fraction to 2/6? All right, step 1. Label both number lines. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6th number line is on top. Let's go ahead and label it. We got 0, 6. We got 1, 6, 2, 6, 3, 6, 4, 6, 5, 6, and 6, 6. Okay. Now, 2, 6 we know is right here. Now that we found it, perfect. Let's go ahead and label the second number line. We have, let's see how many parts. Starting at 0, 1, 2, 3. 3 parts. So we have 0 thirds. We have 1 third, 2 thirds. Let me fix that 2 a little bit. And 3 thirds. Okay. Now, because these number lines, and all of them today are identical, they start at 0 and they end at 1, and they're the same lengths, we can visually just line up the two fractions, the 2/6 with whatever is on the same place in the number line below. And that's 1 third. Look at that. That's our answer. 2/6 is equivalent to 1 third because they take the same location on the number line. So let's go over to the answer line and let's write that. Number 3's answer is 1 third is equivalent to 2/6. All right, let's try 1 together and then, let's do number 4. And then you'll be on your way. Okay, here we go. Number 4. Using the number lines below shown, what is the equivalent fraction to 6/8? All right, what's step 1? Yep, you got it. Step 1 is to label both number lines. All right, so on a piece of paper and pencil, now let me back up. Let's just do this together. Let's count. Okay, we're going to start at 0. We're going to label the first number line into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 parts. All right, we had 8ths again, so we're back to 8ths. Let's do this. 0/8, 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and 8/8. And the second number line, we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, fourths this time. So let's label this number line in fourths. 0 fourths, 1 fourth, 2 fourths, 3 fourths, 4 fourths. So 6/8 is the fraction we're trying to find an equivalent fraction to. So there it is, 6/8. Oh, let's turn that off, turn this on. 6/8 is here. And that would be equivalent to, let's see here, straight down, 3 fourths. Because these number lines are identical, they both start at 0, end at 1, and are the same lengths. So the answer is 3 fourths. That is the equivalent fraction to 6/8. 3 fourths and 6/8 represent the same value, the same amount. So let's go ahead and write on number 4, the answer is 3 fourths. And let me just show you here. When I say the same amount, what I mean is starting from 0, we pretend this is a bar, this amount here is the same amount as this amount here. So 3 fourths, because look, the bar is the same length, isn't it? 3 fourths and 6/8 represent the same amount. We could draw bars for other fractions too. 2/6, the bar that represents 2/6. Check this out. That's the same size bar as 1 third. They represent the same amount. So we call them equivalent fractions. And the word equivalent has part of the word equal in it, right? So if you take the IV out, you get equal, 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 equivalent, right? Anyway, let's get to it. Your work today, when you're done, should look a lot like this. Both number lines should be labeled, okay? and the equivalent fraction should be marked, hopefully in a different color, as I've used green here. And your answer's over here on the answer lines to the right. Let's do this.